Thank you, Sarah. We will call to order the June 1st, 2023 meeting of the Historic District Commission. Could we start with a roll call, please?
Sure. Stricker,
Here?
Leo,
Here.
Narza,
Here.
Donahue,
Here.
Lewis.
She's in Germany.
Oh, Narza was not here, and Patterson.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum. Are there any agenda changes, additions, or deletions? All good. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes of the regular meeting held on May 4th? And if so, do I have a motion to approve those?
I'll give you a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May 4th.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed? Okay. Any public comments on the agenda items tonight? Okay, hearing none. Any unfinished business? There is none, so we will go right to our two new business items. The first is 201 Butler, which is a new ATM. Everyone's had a chance. I don't think we have. Do we have an applicant on the phone?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
do. Okay.
Yep.
Everyone had a chance to read the application. This was before us last month, and it looks like the applicant has changed locations. Anything to add from the applicant on the phone?
That is true. My name's Mike Titchnell. I'm with Powerhouse. And if I remember right from last month, basically, everybody had sort of said that they didn't like the location there right in front of the building and more along the more historic part of the street. And it sounds like we're moving it down to where that Dasani water bottle dispenser machine is. And I believe you guys do have a photo or at least a rendering that shows it being sort of down that particular avenue.
Yes, so on our photo, it looks like it's at the kind of against the brown wall, correct?
That's Phil. Is that Phil's?
Correct.
Phil's, okay.
Okay,
And I think that's where it had been recommended from last month's meeting that we move it down that way.
Instead of going around the table, since this has already been before us, does anyone have any comments or questions?
Is this still built in or ATM, or is it one of those freestanding ones that's going there?
It would be a freestanding,
Thanks.
not a problem.
Anybody else have questions? I think the dialogue was along the lines of, especially on the corner of a historic corner, that was just a really big mass. So that's been alleviated and it's down, sort of tucked away as much as it can be tucked away, is the way I'm interpreting it. Anybody else have anything? If not, John, you look like you're gonna ask a question.
No, when we talked about it being on the corner, the whole building's on the corner. It wasn't just the machine on the closer to the corner that I don't think we recommended moving it down that I remember.
Yeah.
Did we?
I think we did.
Okay.
I think a comment was made, yeah.
Oh, I think a comment was made, but.
Was there a discussion that we would move it around the corner?
We asked about that, about moving it on the
Across the street from
Mason
the
Street
bank,
corner, yeah. There was a reason it couldn't be, if I remember right.
Right. So, yeah, so at your last meeting, my recollection is that you did have some discussion about whether or not it might be more appropriate along Mason Street. And I think at least what staff raised was that at that point, then we'd be looking at a portion of it being on public property and a portion of it being on private property, whereas, you know, in front of the building, they're able to put it entirely on the private property. So we'd have to evaluate the public property side of things with our city council and that sort of thing, that they were willing to allow such an encroachment.
I guess,
And that is correct. That is correct. We try to avoid the public space as much as we possibly can, as far as that piece is concerned.
I guess I would summarize it before asking for a motion that this makes it less non-contributing in front of a contributing building. And I think that's what we were worried about, was all the soda machines lined up like little soldiers and adding one more thing. So we've avoided one more thing by at least tucking it down in the corner. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I guess I'll motion to approve the ATM in the revised location at the far left side of the drugstore.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a second? I'll second.
Okay.
Is there any more discussion? Feels like there might be more discussion.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel that, again, adding something additional, if he was maybe eliminating one of the machines rather than adding something additional, I would probably be more in tune to vote for it, but right now I'm still against it.
Can we go back? Can we go back and ask him to remove those? Is it the banks or is it his approval of the drugstore?
I don't know, but that's not what's in front of us.
Right.
For me, it's incompatible with the historic structure.
More discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying yes. Opposed? Yes.
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 Okay. There we have it. So I think we need to circle back around with the applicant and maybe talk about other locations where this is more compatible.
Maybe inside.
Yeah, maybe inside, maybe in more areas where it's on private property that they can work with a property owner in a way that's more compatible.
Yeah. Because we wouldn't allow any other business owner to add that in front of their business.
Okay.
We
Thank you.
appreciate your
Okay,
time.
thank you. Thank you for coming back. We
No
will
problem.
go to our second application, 149 Griffith Street. So we have a couple additions from our conversation from the last meeting. Hi.
And I apologize before we get started here. I think the other folks are just hopping off, but this is more of a practical thing. Typically, you'd want to make motions and pass something that you're for a decision, right? So you made a motion and seconded it. The decision was no, not to pass the motion to approve, but that's not an actual decision. So really, now that the other motion failed to pass, there should be a motion to deny the application. And then voting on denying the
Okay,
application. Yep.
that's fine.
Yep.
I appreciate that.
I'll make a motion to deny the application.
Okay,
Second.
any more discussion on that? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed? Thank you for that
Thank you. Yep.
clarification, because we,
First time something like that is.
because we don't,
Like a double.
Yeah.
negative kind of thing.
It just means the motion didn't pass before, the first motion didn't pass. Now you passed the motion saying, yes, it's actually
okay,
denied.
thanks for
So,
keeping
yep.
us on track. Sorry.
Thank you.
Anything you'd like to add to the application that, other than your overview?
We had revised some images of the application the other day. Basically, talking about the cottage window, the removal of the stained glass, which was not original, but the idea is that window would be restored to its original construction of a cottage window. So it's going to be in character with the way it was when it was built. The other change we've requested is the second floor door that went up to nowhere. We were going to put a window there, and then our client has decided to actually close that up. So that would be covered with siding that matches the
It's gonna be the other.
adjacent
Okay,
walls. Other than that, we did have some fencing in the rear of the building, which actually we had talked about last time. My colleague Chris Nelson, that just happened to still be on our site plan. that we wanted to talk about. In the back of the building, we have the siding. Also, there was a comment with regard to the door that we're adding onto the new patio. And again, our thinking is that that door would be consistent with the doors we talked about last month. Basic style and rail door, and I think we did add some additional information what that's going to be constructed and looking like.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Any questions or comments?
Why don't I send it around the table for individual comments? Keith, we'll start with you.
Also on the list is the proposed walk-in refrigerator.
Yes, yes.
On the plan, it shows that it goes 15 forward aft. And is that, I didn't go and walk it off, but is that to the end of where that current fence is? The fence is kind of, I wasn't quite sure how that all works.
Yeah, if I may, the current fence ends about 6-8 feet in, 8 feet in, I should say. It's going to extend out basically to where the curb cut is.
Well, there's not a fence though, right? There's not a fence right here, but there's a fence. Are you talking about this fence?
No, on the street side.
Oh, okay.
On
Yeah,
Mason
it's gonna cover. that.
Yeah.
There's nothing there right now.
There's a
That's not-
fence, there's an older fence there.
It would, I
No.
think it's may have come down by since we.
I just walked by it unless I was hallucinating.
And you do have that old picture from the side that we.
But anyway, that's beyond, that's beside the
Well,
point.
it's gonna be down.
Yeah,
right.
That is- that's
Yeah.
what it comes down to.
So,
Yes.
so what you're saying is it's gonna be past that turn where the driveway is?
Approximately at the curb
Okay.
cut.
And then that's gonna be, where's the level point? Where's the zero of the?
The zero is going to be at the what's currently the slab of the garage door right now.
Okay, and then the height of that is what,
It's approximately 8 feet.
8? So it'll be probably at the line of the top of the garage, I think, 'cause that's an 8-foot garage.
A little, yes, approximately.
7.6 or something,
Right.
okay.
So our intent is to build the arbor to cover all that. And in the future, if landscape wants to be added to it, it's an integral component of the business. Currently, if you recall, there's this monster over here that
Yeah.
I think is
Yeah.
unsightly and unsafe to use.
Looks like a spaceship.
Yeah.
Back
and
there.
I
It's
think,
huge.
right, this will give the opportunity to have the yard as an amenity rather than a service area.
Was there, I don't want to get into too much of the detail, was there any discussion about a greenscape instead of another fence? Because that whole side street view is a street view, right?
Right.
And it's just, my sense is that's, and then if you turn and look this way, you've got a dumpster, you've got a bunch of old furniture, you've got another fence. If you go through the street view, it just is, it's complicated and it just doesn't seem consistent. And I just wondered if you thought, if you gave any thought to making a green line there of something that grows and tall instead of putting another fence up that's disconnected from the rest of the building.
Well, this is gonna be in the place of it,
Understood.
starting right here, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
we're gonna probably, what I'm going to assume, once this is all ripped out, is put more greenery right here.
Mm-hmm.
This will be put back a little bit more, because it's scooted out from the building, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So there will be greenery
Okay.
of some sort, I just don't know. We didn't get that far
And is
yet.
that the fence or is that
This is
an
the
idea?
This is an idea. It's like a pergola, because across the street, they have something similar, so
Right.
we're like, oh,
Yeah.
good idea. It's like a pergola type of situation, which could have greenery growing up,
Exactly.
up it at some point too.
And then what's the requirement for the fence height for something like this? Because I think it's 6 feet, isn't it?
Right, so, so they haven't
the-
submitted for zoning approval, so I don't know what height this fence is, but the regular zoning standard would be 6 feet, except for, site plans that go to the planning commission for review. The planning commission does have the ability to allow it to go higher for this type of a property, so there is a screening requirement, for non-residential uses abutting basically residential zoning districts, although that can be accomplished through like screening or walls or fencing, or we could also look at, some plant material type options too with that.
And then the side of that walk-in freezer or refrigerator, What kind of material is that?
Which the side that faces the street.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a stainless steel look.
Okay.
Our thought was that's almost an integral component of the cooler.
Mhm.
Mainly, and our thought of building something there was so that at day one, it's shielded. And then the addition of landscape, which takes a little bit of time to grow, would, augment that and be another layer of shield.
Yeah, I'm just not really understanding the entire, like, the entire side view. We've spent a lot of time talking about the chimney, other things that were not necessarily consistent. And this one just feels like it needs a little more thought about how it's gonna be integrated for a streetscape. It's not necessarily that it's just Mason Street is a well-used, very visible street, so.
Well, good thing is we're doing lots to the building, so if you have a better idea about it, then we could do it. It's just, we need to
Yeah.
know what you guys want.
Yep,
I
no,
guess.
no,
Because that other cooler is not even operational.
no, I understand.
Yeah.
So it's either that or,
It is-
I mean, it
it's
can't be
just-
a restaurant. if that's
I
what
just
it
see
is.
that as a building it's in addition to the building. It's gonna look like that when you're done, right?
Massing wise.
Pardon? Yeah, from
As
massing.
a mass, it's going to be a structure.
That's probably, of all the other things they all are fine, but this one, just the streetscape. Feels like it needs more continuity, which it doesn't have. That's what you're proposing.
To a point, but our thought was, if you look at the side the side of that building right now, it's the main house and two additions are a little bit disjuncted, and our thought was to kind of put something in that, is not as much a structure, a little bit more transparent, if you will. And then with the addition of landscape, we just had not, integrated it yet. Would soften it.
That's all I had.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Boy.
No, I'm good.
Just so I'm 100% clear, because I'm not, the freezer, is it going into the garage?
No, it's not.
Is it going just right up to
In
it?
front of it, yes.
It's
And the
gonna be-
garage door will still be behind it?
They'll be
No.
gone.
It'll be gone.
It's
Okay,
gonna be,
it'll be a wall.
there's gonna be a door inside, that's turning into a prep area, that garage is going away. And then you go into the walk-in from inside. The
Right.
Garage, it's not gonna be a garage, it's a
Right.
prep area.
Yeah. And there's also an outdoor door to get in there, along the side.
Yeah, but not.
Not
it's
to the
gonna be
cooler.
Inside. of the
Yeah,
building.
yeah.
Right.
It's gonna be like on the other side. In the, facing that.
So in essence, it does appear to be part of the structure, like you said.
Yeah.
And. Yeah, I just wonder. I get it. I just wonder, again, the fence coverage, making sure that the top of the freezer isn't higher than the fence. So that's going before zoning, right? To make sure that the height is higher.
I think fence is an idea, right?
Yeah,
It's a concept,
It
exactly.
doesn't sound like you're quite sure. how
but it
it's-
wouldn't look good if the top of it could only
Oh,
be 6 feet.
Exactly, that's why you said, with regard to zoning, it's
Right.
6 feet your limit. This is approximately 10 feet plus or minus, what you get up to the frills up at the top.
Yeah.
We wanted to shield it so you don't see it, and it's.
I think a nod toward a garden element, which that is, and if it had vines growing on it, I think that's good. Better than the side of the cooler and better than arborvitae's that have space between them that grow many years until they grow together. Seeing stainless steel,
And even more siding, I mean. he
more
could-
siding would look weird.
Yeah, I mean, he could adjust it, yeah, so I mean, I think that kind
I
of,
think-
it does kind of work.
Yeah, it works.
And the concept of the backyard too is going to be like an English garden, so that's kind of where this also ties in, is that back area is. a garden, essentially.
And, sorry, did I see I see the window. I'm not seeing the door. Tell me just about the door one more time. That's my last question.
That's the door.
What's it?
Right now, we have a door.
No, I understand that one, but the door below,
Oh,
the one that you're gonna, yeah, that one. Yeah, is
that
it
comes off the bar. That's basically a style and rail door, so it'd be wood.
wood?
top and
Okay,
bottom.
just like the window,
Full glass,
like the
full
window.
glass, yes, full
Yeah.
glass in the.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Just make sure whether it's like fiberglass or,
No.
yeah, okay. I'm good.
Well, wait a second,
Wait.
it's not gonna be wood material, it's in the back of the building, not in
Okay.
the.
You said it was like the one in the front.
It's wood, it's a,
Well, the one in the
Slab.
front, okay, the one in the front is in the historic part. on the addition, the garage part, which is this part, we're gonna have the same doors that are in the garage part. This is just going out to the back
Yeah.
garden area.
Okay.
So it's not shown from the street. Nobody essentially will be able to see it other than when you go into the garden. Okay.
Your logic makes sense, but it's one address and one application that's a contributing property. So it's,
I get it.
I mean, your application says it's the same material, the
It's-
same spec as your
It's not-
first time,
it's
right?
not the Same as the main door, which is custom door. It's the other doors, like the one we added at the front and the old front door.
Right. That's what I had
And it's-
interpreted.
I may have misspoke when I said wood. It's a clad door, so it's gonna be aluminum.
Okay, yes, yes.
I think we,
you're right.
we
It's
approved the
not-
plat.
Yeah, and the win-
Cause there is a wood door and
Yes.
that's where in
That's a
the,
special-
underneath the front porch.
Right,
Okay,
that's a
and
different door.
clad aluminum,
Okay.
and the windows are clad aluminum
we're
too,
not
what
doing
on the inside? Aren't the windows clad with,
Oh, the window spec is exactly like
Yeah.
the last window spec.
Yep.
And that's in the
that's
application.
in
Yep.
that, okay,
Sorry, is that confusion?
okay, I got it. You, when you said it was like front, I just want to make sure. Okay.
So my only last question is, I see you probably don't have the plan view. Do you have the plan view that could pop up?
In the pack.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. So that wood fence, the 6-foot wood fence in red, that's above where it says new concrete.
Right.
So basically your living area of guests will be in that area. I'm trying to figure out what I see from from Mason Street that's not lattice and what I see when I'm in your backyard from the refrigerator.
If I may, from Mason, we have an existing fence, so we're matching that fence when we take the cooler out and
Got
the
it.
stuff that goes with it. So that's gonna be basically a stockade,
Right.
dog ear fence.
Okay, I'm with you on that.
There, inside, we've got the dog ear fence here as well.
Yep.
So this is all gonna be kind of like a hidden garden or an English garden.
Okay, so what do I see from Mason Street then?
You
Looking
see-
that way, so if we go back, sorry, Sarah, go back one more time to the other view. I get that Mason Street, straight on the elevation, I'm gonna see the lattice and the pergola. But I'm gonna see as I drive into your old driveway, the side of the stainless steel cooler, right?
Yep.
On this side, then the
Yeah.
fence, then the garbage.
Right. So
I
if
mean,
I'm standing right where I am, looking at the property, I'm still gonna see from the street a stainless steel side.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it's a restaurant, so there's a garbage can right there, a huge garbage can, and the other side's gonna be the fence, and we have to make a pathway for the guests.
Yeah, yeah.
the Airbnb
No, I'm
to
not-
get in.
I'm not
Thinking of the Wix execution that they recently did to close out all their bits for the restaurant.
Nice shot.
That's a clean, it's a clean look. It's a
Wix Park, we
Wix.
just painted it this week,
Yeah.
last week.
Next to the post office.
And it was
Lighting
a-
door that covers their utility area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the problem, for me, it's a streetscape issue. Am I stealing your thunder here? You're gonna, once you get to that point, the rest of it's gonna be exposed dumpster, squirrels. I mean, I know you're gonna clean it up,
Mhm.
but it seems incomplete that you haven't thought through how the rest of that executes. I walk by that all the time. And it would be wonderful if it looked great. And this is gonna be an improvement, but it's still gonna be it's not connected. It's the streetscape is troubled.
So one, where I was gonna go with this was, I think we ought to be real careful here, because this is the second screen that feels architectural to me.
Yeah.
When I looked at this, I interpreted the pergola structure and the lattice as being attached to the fridge.
That's,
I didn't look at it as being out as a screen on the street as a fence, because that would make it a 10-foot screen, like a garden structure, which I think is dangerous. I like it if it's attached to is that the way you guys interpreted it too?
Yeah,
Is it
I mean, he
attached to the
said
building?
that it was gonna be close to the walk-in, and then there was gonna be green space between the sidewalk and the walk-in.
Right, but that doesn't say it's actually bolted onto the side of the refrigerator versus a space behind it. I don't want a space behind it.
There's not gonna be like a space for garbage to collect and such. It's gonna be very taut.
I just don't want it to look like a screen or a 10-foot fence. I want it to look like a structure, if it is.
Would you like to see that pergola kind of wrapped around.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask about wrapping.
That's where I was kind of going,
Okay.
just to hide it. Because I get you're gonna clean up everything else, but then it looks like the massing is a structure and that is attached to the structure instead of a mass that's stainless steel and some sort of screen around it.
Mhm.
Well, what Wix did and what we approved at Scooters Pizza, the dumpsters, they're essentially horizontal 2x6 or 1x6 flat boards. And Wix chose to put space between them.
Mhm.
The other ones are stacked closer together, but it could be something like that that is paintable, inexpensive, but that does wrap. That would make a huge difference.
What if we just put a fence, like whatever you're talking about, all the way across, so the dumpster.
That's what Wix did.
That's where I was at.
Yeah,
I mean, that would be a lot cheaper than making this and then doing this and then having a little pathway. I would just rather have a little door that our guests can like go into when they need to and have just a fence run the whole length.
Do you need access for trucks to deliver materials to you?
Thinking they can open. things with our other
Oh,
restaurants,
okay.
so It's not.
I was thinking you were gonna keep that driveway because you needed the access.
No, we don't need the driveway. I mean, it's nice, but could we put a gate? I don't know if you guys have to approve that. But could we put a gate that's big enough for, you know, we'd have to with the dumpster. to be kept out.
Yeah, that's kind of that's kind of what we're talking.
That's what we see.
Not headache of like wrapping and then doing the.
Yeah.
orange areas. Is that how we address?
Or one that translates, you've got 15 feet, so you gotta, if it, I mean, that's an option, you could slide it.
Yeah,
If you're trying to, yeah.
Garbages, because there are squirrels.
I think that would be cleaner.
That's all in it.
That would be really nice.
Feels better.
That would also like, then you're not trying to fake cover up something
Yes.
either, which
Yeah.
you're doing it in a nice way, but that bothers me a little bit.
Okay,
So
Yeah,
easy fix.
you
that's-
might want to go look at Wix, because I really am impressed with that. Like, they have a really kind of utilitarian courtyard that has this big sliding door that closes it off. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
And they do
Like, they
have
can leave
a-
it open. Yeah, you can leave it open during delivery time and garbage day, but then they close it off when their guests are entering the side door.
And before it was kind of a mess.
It was.
And it really,
It's- That, it would just be the Airbnb guests and home guests will have access back there, so.
well, and they've done a nice execution on getting some, they've got a back building and they're all these physical bits end nicely, and there's a straight shot right into their
Okay.
new facility that they've done.
So would that fence have to be 6 feet or 8 feet?
Well, yeah, it's,
You're gonna see the top of that thing either way, because you just told me that this is what, 10 feet, so. Eight, you're gonna be up here,
Right.
right? Your eye's gonna see it.
I mean, that's a zoning thing
That's a
more than
zoning,
it
yeah.
is, isn't it?
I'm not sure if that's anything we can,
We would approve the intent in the material.
you wouldn't want to see a 10-foot, 12-foot
No,
fence.
I'd rather see the top of the stainless steel fridge.
Okay.
We'll go take a look, what you're talking about, but I could see perhaps the cooler, the whole side of the cooler is maybe covers the cooler.
Mhm.
And the fence is at 6 foot, and it's kind of a transition, maybe, layers upon layer.
Yeah.
But we'll take a look and see what you're talking about.
Yeah. The other factor too, and just as I'm, the English garden, so like adding the door to the outdoor patio. Are you looking for your like guests of the restaurant to actually utilize that space?
Yeah, because this, if you're familiar with the building, you have to go from the front.
Mhm.
Go through the gate and walk all the way down the building. It's just, it's hard for service. There's no easy access because the liquor license. Doesn't allow our staff. to
You go
up
back
this-
up to the,
So that's the problem.
oh,
It would make it a lot easier if the liquor control allowed us to go out that door, but they don't.
Right.
So that's why we want to put a door. This is a bar. It essentially would go all the way to the back of this spot.
so in the past, the restaurant hasn't used that courtyard space as like seating or anything like that.
It did in the past, yes.
Oh, it did in the past,
And they
okay.
have a bar
Yeah,
area
it's a bar back.
out there.
It's big.
You basically,
It's a tiki bar out there.
this plan, so if you put a fence across the whole part on Mason Street. You basically have two zones that are
Mhm.
fenced in. You have a courtyard English garden zone and you have a utility zone inside that fence.
Yeah.
Which the refrigerator is in.
Mhm.
I mean, I I think we could probably. Vote on that. And put that in motion, and then that could be staff approved. We could specify materials. And reference points. To keep, because I know that would be your third time back, you want to get going.
Appreciate that.
Whichever the fence or the door.
That's
The fence, just the.
right. What are you thinking, Ryan?
Well, yeah, there's a couple of things. There's obviously the interplay between with zoning and the historic district side of things, and obviously, they had additional things they wanted to add onto their plan, so they had to come back to with this meeting. The initial set of plans, we felt that, it probably were going to be like minor amendments to a site plan on the zoning side of things. If you're looking at needing a fence that would be higher than 6 feet, or I don't know how much extra seating or if any would even be outside to trigger, again, whether that it has to go to formal site plan review with the planning commission. My worry is that if you have to go through formal site plan review with the planning commission and then they have a bunch of changes, then you're going to end up back here too. So I think we always have these discussions about where do you go to first. I just want you to keep that in mind. If there's changes, you may have to come back.
Can we approve everything then? Inclusive of the fridge. With screening. To be agreed upon by the planning commission or the zoning commission. Like I still don't, if we still make the motion on what we're approving. Like, first of all, like, I don't think that motion would include above a 6-foot fence because we just don't do that.
Well, let's just do a 6 fence.
So if we make that in the motion, but I hear you saying the entire site plan would need to be approved by zoning.
Yeah, it's going to need some zoning approval, and whether or not it's going to trigger formal site plan review by the planning commissioner, if I can administratively approve, minor amendments. That's the evaluation that we're still have to conduct. So.
We want to see it, then we can just do it.
It's not,
That's fine.
we kind, we-
We can just do it.
no,
We're starting from scratch.
so no, we can't. That's not what we do. But yes, we kind of just did. Now we're just trying to figure out what the protocol. So just work with me here. I'm trying to get you through.
I think we all are.
So I think if we make the motion around everything on the application. With a 6-foot fence along Mason Street to provide screening for. The fridge, conditional on like a zoning approval, zoning site plan administrative or approval or something like that. We're not approving anything wacky that we'd never approved before. So that's where I don't feel weird about that. And I would think they then would have the same conversation I would have with you or you might have with me, like, hey, is this administrative approval or does this need to come to the whole thing? That's between you and them.
Right.
My,
To a certain extent.
I don't
yeah.
wanna
It's
put you in a bad
it's a little
spot.
different, but yes, there's some clear guidance for like administrative approvals for the planning commission. Or for formal site plans. But yes, I think what you're proposing works, and then, if there's issues from either administrative approval of the zoning side or even the planning commission side of things, then, we would discuss that it could come back with the revised plans for you. And my point is that wouldn't be a separate charge. I think it's all related to the current
the
proposal.
success for me and for you, I think looks like making a motion that gets you going on everything except the fence tonight.
Okay.
And I think that would be helpful, right?
I mean, this is where it's complicated because restaurants are totally different government agencies that we have to go through. We need to go through for the MLCs too. So I need to decision later because they have to approve it so we can open it. So that's where it's like.
On the fence?
Yeah, because it's liquor controls where. we
Sure.
go,
Makes sense.
block everything. So I would rather do sooner than later, but.
Can we, go ahead.
If we had proposed, speaking here, a 6-foot fence that would go the whole length of Mason Street, to shield this, and the character of the fence, I think it's gonna be what you want after we go look at it.
It's gonna be the same as what's in the front. I mean, this is what I'm thinking. It's the same fence that's around the whole entire building.
So I guess commissioners. We're gonna keep doing this. So We can make the motion with what we just said, which is what you just said. And go from there.
Basically, it's a fence all the way across. And if it's going to match the other fence, we need to say that then. Like, instead of the slat idea or the trellis pergola
Yeah,
idea,
we're not in the business of
Yeah.
suggesting design.
just a fence going all the way across.
They did not come to us with those ideas, so we
Okay.
can't do that.
Right, so it's a fence going all the way across. All right, before someone
Like a
makes that,
screen fence or what kind of fence are we talking about now?
she just said just like the one they have in front.
The metal,
Right by-
the metal
No, to
fence?
the right of.
He said.
Building, the
Yeah.
backyard is
Yeah.
surrounded by this fence.
Turn those over.
We would just pick up where this leaves off and just go all the way around. Of course, we would have to have doors for the garbage company. But we'll do the same fence. I don't plan on changing fence looks because then we get.
So is this, I can't really see this. Is this just like a
Stockade.
stockade dog ear fence? Okay.
And it's what they have in the other garden area already.
Right.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Somebody want to try to make a
So the
motion?
key, before we do that, a lot of these points, this is really nicely laid out, aren't on the project description of the application. The window, for instance, up above, does that need to be on the project description?
That is the application. The whole thing is the application that they've.
This
submitted.
is, okay. The written part matches some of it, not all of it. Okay.
What are you gonna say?
Yeah, so I think you know, you as an HTC, if the applicant and you as an HTC are in agreement with whatever changes, then yeah, I think you're fine to make those part of your conditions. What we want to avoid is a situation where, you know, the condition is different than what the applicant wanted and they weren't in agreement with it at your meeting. You do also have the option to ask for, you know, revised plans that would show this or show the material and return as well. I mean, that's another option that you would have.
How about I take a stab at a motion and I'll address that in the motion. So I'd like to make a motion to approve 149 Griffith as submitted, including window panel removal, new patio space and door, new walk-in refrigerator and freezer, and replacement of the door with a window as submitted with all materials as approved in the prior application in terms of material and finish for windows and doors.
The last part.
It's
Yeah, there's
remove the
only-
door and not replace it with a window.
And
Yeah, they've changed, if you look at that new graphic, oh, it's here. They said that it's an infill instead of a window.
correct.
Okay.
And
I'm just covering ourselves saying it's all the same material as windows and doors. So if anything happens, it's the exact same material spec that's been submitted
If-
before.
if I may,
We have a motion and
Okay.
we have a motion in progress, so just help here.
the fence was in the old application too, though, I thought. So if you say, then we're covered, you're covered.
We're not covered.
Okay.
So let me start over. So I'd like to make a motion for 149 Griffith Street to approve as submitted the window panel removal, new patio space and door, new walk-in refrigerator and freezer, and replacement of a door with a window. That is what's on the application. I'm reading our agenda.
I know, I see what you're reading,
Yeah, it's
but
not
we do have a change then.
removal of that window, not changing it.
I get it.
So that's just something it's part of, we can add that into the motion.
Correct.
I got you.
In addition, new fencing to be added to be a 6-foot stockade fence, wood matching the existing fencing on the current property, masking the walk-in freezer and all other utility elements behind the fence. Final site plans, materials, and measurements to be administratively approved and to be also approved as needed by the zoning board. Changes changes to the application include infill of the window on the second floor, infill of the garage door where the refrigerator and freezer will cover that up, and door material to match. Do I have a second?
Second.
Now, is there any discussion on that? Does anyone want to update that?
I think you covered it pretty well.
Got everything?
Yep.
Okay.
It's a mess. It's a little messy.
Yeah.
Two of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, you'll like put your heads together, okay. All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. We're excited.
Hopefully now we can- well,
Administrative approvals and updates. Is there anything else you want to comment on that's not on this list?
Nothing else to add to this list, Mr. Chair.
Any communication? More public comments? Any more commission comments? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes, we are adjourned. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thank you.